I'm Kerry Shale.
And I'm Daniel Crespin.
And this is Bob Dylan.
Approximately.
There's beauty in that silver singing river. There's beauty in that rainbow in the sky. But none of these, and nothing else, can touch the beauty that I remember in my true love's eyes. Yes, and only if my own true love was waiting, and if I could hear her heart a-softly poundin', only if she was lying by me, then I'd lie in my bed once again.
Beautiful reading of it as well.
Well, it's so beautiful. It's easy to read because it's just, I think it's one of Bob Dylan's most beautiful songs.
Well, it's a rare glimpse, I think, into real vulnerability and gentleness when it comes to romantic love, because you've got around this time so many amazing love songs that are often, like Don't Think Twice and Boots of Spanish Leather, but he hides the pain so beautifully, but he hides the pain behind a kind of sarcasm and a pretend nonchalantness. Here, it's literally like he's a romantic poet. There's no artifice. It's like, this is how I feel. And you don't get that often from Bob.
No. The background of Tomorrow Is a Long Time, which indeed for the neophytes, that was the song I quoted that we're going to be talking about. So in June 1962, Suze Rutolo, his girlfriend, and his first deep love, went to Italy for 6 months to study. She got a grant to go off to Italy to study. And seemingly it broke his heart. He couldn't believe that she was leaving him. And he recorded the demo of this song in December 62. So she'd been gone since June 62.
It's on the Whitmark demos.
It's on the Whitmark demos. And I was reading that Artie Mogul, who was the song publisher, the Whitmark song publisher. Mogul is just such a... It was his real name. Mogull. He played the demo to Judy Collins, amongst others. He was trying to sell the song, hoping that she'd cover it. And she listened for 30 seconds and just burst into tears. It's hard. I almost burst into tears just now.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's so remarkable. It's like the emotion in this song has, like, we're talking about Spinal Tap turning their amps up to 11. The emotional sort of turned up to 11, but it's not corny. It's real.
It's truly bare and out there. And I mean, on a selfish note for fans and music in general, thank God she did go away for 8 months, because we got from it, Boots of Spanish Leather, Don't Think Twice, Tomorrow's a Long Time. Was there a more important musical breakup? Well, maybe Sarah Dillon later on, but it's hard to know in a way what to say about this song, because it's not, it's not like Dylan usually is, where you can go, well, what does he mean here? It's never quite clear. It's like, no, this is raw emotion. And the fact that this wasn't released until 1971, a live version on the second greatest volume of Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
By the way, how fucking brilliant do you have to be 9 years after your first album to already have 2 Greatest Hits volumes out? And you could have included more songs on both of them if you'd wanted to. Like the level of how prolific he was.
Well, they're all great. They're
time.
all great songs, but in fact, they weren't great hits. He didn't have that many great hits, even back then. So it was the record company calling them greatest hits. And then, has anyone ever stuck something on their greatest hits that had never been released before?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I mean,
he endlessly does it.
Yeah. He still. Silvio was on Greatest Hits Volume 3. Well, I actually like Silvio, but it was introduced. I do remember the first time I heard this song, because it was on Greatest Hits Volume 2, and I did hear it in 1971. I heard it a couple of weeks after it came out, and was just playing random tracks. Like, I knew a lot of the tracks, and then I landed on this one, and I thought, I mean, it's sort of also, it's instantly accessible. It's one of his few songs that you don't think, gee, what is he, what's he getting at?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was incredibly moved by it the first time I heard it. Well, like Judy Collins, it's really hard not to. It's like magic, this song, in a way.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'd written in my notes to ask you, and clearly the answer is no, but I put, does that real true romanticism from Bob put you off at all? Because I know we've had a conversation off mic about very different song, but also a love song of Make You Feel My Love. You don't particularly like that song because it's just,
you know what?
Doesn't feel like Bob.
It's more that song. It's more the voice doesn't seem to match the song. Make You Feel My Love.
I love it. You see, we can get onto this another time, I'm sure.
There's something. It's not my favorite album, Time Out of Mind. In fact, it's one of my least favorite albums.
See, talking of breakups, I think Time Out of Mind was my first Dylan breakup album. That to me was being played a lot during a breakup, so maybe I sort of
those do because Blood on the Tracks happened to be my big breakup album.
Wow.
But let me tell you my personal story about Tomorrow's a Long Time. It's the Mary Jane stories. Mary Jane. Have I mentioned Mary Jane to you in our great scheme of things? So Mary Jane was my first serious, really serious relationship. And I went down to Berkeley from Winnipeg, dropped out of university in 1971. And I ended up living in this communal house. 71 was it was a weird time. And I went down to Berkeley because the guy that I was sharing a flat with was an American deserter. He'd been in Vietnam. And that's another whole story. But he said, you should go down to Berkeley. It's cool. Right. So that's the only reason I went down there. Yeah. And I hitchhiked down there. And I found a place. I had enough money to last me for 6 months if I just, ate very carefully. And I didn't know that I was going to only be there for 6 months. I was moving down there as far as I was concerned. At the time I was taking a lot of acid and everything was possible. I didn't sort of see things the way they were. And anyway, I ended up in this place. There was a house on Channing Way, which was just near it was fairly close to the university. And there was a big papier mâché red fist outside it, and a free box. People would just put their clothes in the free box, and you'd take you'd get a pair of jeans out or whatever. Anyway, anything went really, and it was the summertime, and I met this guy who was. He had a job as the engineer of the radio station, which was KALX in Berkeley. I think it's probably still there. It was a very powerful radio station. It broadcast to the whole city. It broadcast even to San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
And he got me, it was the summertime, so a lot of the students were away. And I said, I've always wanted to be a DJ. Who hasn't wanted to be a DJ? And he said, I can get you, there's a slot, a 3-hour slot, and we can put you in there. Nobody will know you're not a student. It's completely, illegal and against the rules. So again, I just did it. I had my own 3-hour radio show. And on the first show, I asked for requests just to see if anybody was listening to me, really. And this girl called up. She requested a song from Love Forever Changes, which is one of my favorite albums. It's still on a lot of people's top 20 albums of all time. Anyway, I thought, well, she's cool. And I was lonely and horny, and I invited her to come down to the station, and she did, and that was Mary Jane. And so we ended up living together. And so this was like my first time living with a female person.
And how old were you, did you say?
I just turned 19.
Wow, okay.
I was a very slow starter as well. I was very shy with girls, and it just
living together at 19 there, that's pretty
Oh, well, I was always a romantic. So so fell in love. We had great sex, and everything was great. And I was living down in Berkeley. It was fabulous. And she did say one thing to me. She was much more experienced than me in life. She dropped out of university. She'd been at the university in Berkeley. But she did say, if John, my old boyfriend John, ever comes back, I'll spend some time with him. I'll spend the night with him if he comes back, if he wants me to. And I remember thinking that, and it was like sometimes how dogs hear humans, like humans are talking to them, but they just hear ruff, 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 ruff. Well, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear what she said. Like I thought, well, there's no way she's going to do that.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Anyway, John came back after we'd been together for about 6 months, and to me, it was like the happiest 6 months I ever had. And she said, "Oh, John's come back, so I'll be spending the night with him. I'm going over to wherever he's staying." And I didn't believe that was even that was going to happen. I just didn't believe it. And she didn't come back that night, and I was it was like devastating.
Yeah,
it was like I'd been run over by a fucking train. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, she did come back, and like a couple of days later, she spent a couple of days with John, and I moved out within like the week. I just couldn't. I was totally destroyed. So I was went back to stay with my friend Tony, who was the engineer at the radio station, and I had a radio show coming up, and Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits Volume 2 had just. I think it had been there for like a week or two, but I hadn't noticed it. And I did my 3-hour show, but before it started, I played Tomorrow Was a Long Time. And again, like I said, it hit me. And I thought, somehow, actually it didn't hit, it was only the last thing I played that night. I thought, I'm going to play Tomorrow Was a Long Time, and I'm going to see if I can get back with Mary Jane. I don't even know if she's listening to the show, but I met her doing the show. I thought it didn't matter. I was going to play it, and I played it. And I said, if you're out there, I think we should give it another shot, and we should leave this place. We should go up to Canada and just listen to this song and see what you think. And then the show was over, and she called up, and she'd been listening.
Wow.
And we got back together. And, by the way, the thing that I left out was the really, really complicated thing was that week, I'd actually hooked up with somebody else. And she'd come over to Tony's place and said, let's talk about this. Let's get back together. But at the time that she came, I was with somebody else. So, and there was pouring rain. We had a big argument in the rain. So there was that. It was very complicated. It wasn't just she done me wrong or anything. It was I done her wrong as well. Yeah. So it was very complicated. It was a wonderful way to set up a relationship that was never the same. And we lived together for another 3 years, and it was complete hell,
right?
Quite frankly. But Tomorrow Was a Long Time. Literally, I mean, it sounds like a joke, but it was the song that got us back together again. Anyway, so that's my deep relationship with this song.
There's something about first love, isn't there? That I think this relates back to Bob in terms of, I always feel like there's a woman he's talking about that he's never gotten over. You just think of songs like Most of the Time. There's something that is that I think it's Suze Rotolo, because for me, my first love, I've been in love twice in my life, both with American women. I need to stop falling in love with American women. That's the rule I've learned from that.
Well, it's 2025, so maybe it's a good time to stop.
But there's something about it. It's your first taste of it, so you're not weary of love yet. You're not
Yeah.
tainted by the heartbreak that comes afterwards. You're not
sick of love.
You're not sick of love. But you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So you embrace everything about it with a beautiful innocence and naivety. And I think that probably leads to the heartbreak being even more.
Yeah.
There's something about my first love, and I think it's just first love in general. I'm not sure, it's 10 years on since we split up. I think I've fully healed from it. I'm over her. I don't want to get back with her. But there's still a pain there because it's the first love, and I never got closure with her. And I've tried since to. She went back to America, and I needed that closure for us to sit down and talk like adults. And I tried when I did my step 9 in a 12-step program. You're supposed to kind of apologize to people that you've wronged in some way. And she wronged me a lot. I wronged her, certainly. And she wouldn't respond. And if you're listening out there, like I'm taking a leaf out of Kerry's book, let's sit down and have a conversation like adults, because I think it's 10 years on and there's things we've both got to apologise for. And I think we would... a weight would be lifted if we both did. So thank you for inspiring me to do that, Kerry. And I felt the pain of that thing. Oh, I'm going to spend the night with him. I can't imagine that. Man.
Yeah, the one of the greatest lines, going back to the song, I think is, I mean, they're all beautiful, but I can't speak the sounds to show no pain. Oh man, I mean, it's just so succinct, so perfectly put. Or that whole section, I can't see my reflection in the waters. I can't speak the sounds to show no pain. I can't hear the echo of my footsteps or remember the sound of my own name.
Yeah, I love that line.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
It's because there's so many songs, aren't there, in life that's either I love you, everything's amazing, or oh my God, it's the worst thing that's ever happened, we've broken up. And this is the latter, but not the latter, because he does it in such a unbelievably poetic and beautiful way. And it's 3 chords. Like he manages to do this with so many, Knocking on Heaven's Door, which is a masterpiece, Blowing in the Wind, which is a masterpiece. 3 chords. How he manages to express this with 3 chords is beyond me. And it's also extremely melancholic, but it doesn't contain a minor chord, and I don't know how he does that either. They're all major chords. So I think Bob, as I've said, is not the most technically proficient musician in terms of the way he plays, but he understands music to a degree that I can't even fathom.
But also, as far as the words go, I guess you could say it's the chorus, the yes and only if my own true love was waiting. So he repeats that 3 times. So there's only a limited amount of actual words in this song, and yet I never get tired of listening to it, and I'm always moved by it. I would never listen to this song in a place where, it's kind of like sacred. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, I heard once this. I love this. Billy Connolly was being interviewed on the radio, and he said,
he's a big Dylan fan.
Is he? That's right. Yeah. Yes, I heard that. Yeah. Well, he said when he's driving with his kids in the car and playing music, he said it drives them crazy. But when they get to their destination and they pull up, he always lets the song finish. He doesn't let them out of the car. He doesn't let himself out of the car. He says, out of respect to the song. And I get that. Like I always feel bad if I get to a destination, I'm listening to music, and I turn off the song. It's because it is disrespectful.
Yeah.
And particularly for this song, I can't imagine sort of like going, yes and only if my own true love was waiting, turn that off.
Yeah, no. I totally get what you mean with I mean, this time of Dylan's songwriting was what got me into Dylan. So I still have a real connection to this time period, and there, it's like, for me, I could never it's a long song, I can never turn off Hard Rain's Gonna Fall in the middle. It's so poetically incredible that it would, as you say, an offense. And it's what I love about, it's what amazes me about great songwriters and songwriting in general. It's such a rare gift. And I'm a guitarist, no offense to any guitarists or musicians out there, but you can practice for 10,000 hours and you'll probably be a half decent guitarist, but you'll never be able to teach what Bob can do as a songwriter. There's something intrinsic within you or your experience. And I think it's why I find acting so fascinating too, because I think it's so inexplicable. You can't really explain it. And I think you have to have it within you. You can make it better. You can go to drama school and learn tools to sharpen that instrument. But I went to drama school with people that didn't have it and will never have it. You can't teach it. And that's why I think there's something so mysterious and brilliant about it.
No, you can't. You're right. You can't teach that thing. Like I once did a play reading with. There's a bit of a Bob Dylan connection here with Ben Whishaw, and who has played Bob Dylan in "I'm Not There," which we're going to be covering in a. Is it a bonus or is it
bonus?
A bonus episode? And he'd already actually done "I'm Not There." This was, but only like the year before, and I did a play reading with him, and. He was comparatively early in his career, but I just sat there and watched him just do this thing, and I thought, my God, you've got whatever you've got.
You've got it.
I want some, but I can't have any because you can't. There's nothing you can do. You can't teach that.
No. Yeah, there's. I just wanted to mention as well, Dylan can be, as he is in. We were talking about John Wesley Harding in another episode, and he is throughout that album as well, for most part. He can be very economical with lyrics at times, and he is certainly in this song, as you say, most of it's a chorus, so there's not that much. And it reminds me, I'm a big, more earlier Hemingway, but early Hemingway I absolutely love. And I remember reading Farewell to Arms for the first time and just being devastated by it. And what fascinates me about Hemingway is... it's not poetic. When you actually read it, it's not poetic. It's very sparse, very to the point. He was a journalist. He learnt his craft, and it was like the smallest amount of words to get what you want across, and yet it hits you in the fucking heart. There's something almost about the matter-of-factness in this song. It's not florid, but it hits you more deeply because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of the old Richard Burton, Clint Eastwood story. Do you know about that?
No.
They were doing Robin, our producer, will definitely know which film it was. It skips my mind at the moment. Anyway, they're both doing this film, and Richard Burton comes from the theater, and Clint Eastwood comes from television and film, and Burton couldn't understand why Clint Eastwood kept cutting his own lines. Sometimes Burton would say, well, why don't I say that, dear boy? And he didn't understand that film is all about reaction. So Clint Eastwood ended up with all the close-ups, and Richard Burton ended up with all the lines, and Clint Eastwood won, and it's just about economy. What you were talking about, economy. I mean, just going back to the song briefly, I hardly did any research for this because it's so there's so much there, but it's been covered over 100 times, and there's a really good version by Odetta. I don't know if you've heard that one, but there's Rod Stewart, Dion, Chris Hillman, Sandy Denny. They're all good versions, and then there's Dylan's version on the Budokan 1978. The one that was recently released, because I don't think
it wasn't on the original one,
and it's awful.
Is it? Yeah.
There
were a lot of misses.
He's gone
on that
full
tour.
Richard Burton on it. There's too much. It's his Neil Diamond, thing. So he was right place, right time, wasn't he? I mean, it was perfection. I mean, the actual Whitmark demo is actually also terrific.
Yeah. Very lo-fi, obviously, because it's a demo.
Yeah, terrible acoustics, but
yeah. It's the amount of songs that are of such high quality. 21 he was when Freewheeling came out. The amount he was writing that were left off that album. Leaving
this one off. I mean, they never went into the studio to record this. It was just, I've moved on.
Yeah.
I think also with Dylan, I mean, sometimes this is really an unusual song because, as we've said, it's so emotional, it's so accessible, it's so in the zone, it's so there's no armor on it whatsoever.
Yeah, and he does. It's interesting. He doesn't. I've noticed from being looking into the bootlegs of live recordings a lot and following the Neverending Tour and stuff. He rarely sings those songs live. I think it's too much for him. He did like most of the time for a couple of years and then has never played it since. I think there's something about really, although Vision of Triana is slightly different, but those really vulnerable songs that he's like, I'm not doing that every night. No, thank you.
Hey, just a quick message to say that if you're enjoying Bob Dylan Approximately, why not consider becoming a Bobsessive over at our Patreon page.
For just £5 a month, you'll get access to longer bonus episodes, early access to all episodes, and a whole range of exclusive membership benefits.
The link to our Patreon page is in the episode notes, wherever you're listening to this podcast.
We do hope you receive it well.
Depending on the way you feel that you live.
Well, I'm a stranger here, in a strange land, but I know this is where I belong. I ramble and gamble for the one I love, and the hills will give me a song. Though nothing looks familiar to me, I know I've stayed here before, once, 1,000 nights ago, with the girl from the Red River shore. Now, I love this song. I hadn't listened to it for a long time before looking into this, and I'd forgotten how much I loved this song. Now, we spoke about Tomorrow is a Long Time. I guess our kind of theory was to look at two love songs from very different ages of Dylan.
Yeah.
Now, my theory, and at first I thought, am I just adding stuff onto this that, overanalyzing? But my theory is that it's not a love song in the traditional sense. To me, this is a song about his muse, his creativity. Oh, okay. And the reason I chose that verse to speak, because this to me is his life on the road. I'm a stranger here in a strange land, but I know this is where I belong. I ramble and gamble for the one I love, for my creativity, and the hills will give me a song. It's like I need to be moving, I need to be seeing things to do this. There's more in the lyrics that I can point to.
The hills are alive with the sound of music. Is that what you're saying?
God, I fucking hate that. But even as a kid, I hated that film. But for instance, there's so many things I can point to. So some of us, oh my God, this is such a beautiful song. Some of us turn off the lights and we lay up in the moonlight shooting by. Some of us, Bob, I think, scare ourselves to death in the dark to be where the angels fly, to be with the muses, like William Blake was, to be with these people. Pretty maids all in a row lined up outside my cabin door. Fame, fortune, excess. It's all been offered to Bob. I've dined with kings. I've been offered wings and I've never been too impressed, as he said before. I've never wanted any one of them wanting me, except the girl from the Red River shore. I think it's him.
The girl from the Red River shore is it.
I think it's his dream. I think it's his purpose. I think it's his reason for being here. So I'm just going to read out something from the 60 Minutes episode. Destiny is it's from the 60 Minutes.
The interview.
Yeah, so he talks about his dream. Destiny is a feeling you have that you know something about yourself nobody else does. The picture you have in your own mind of what you're about will come true, he says. It's the kind of thing you kind of had to keep to your own self because it's a fragile feeling, and you put it out there and then someone will kill it. Well, in this song, it's a slightly, I do believe that was his... he says in Chronicles, there were big lights out there and they were looking just at me. He knew he was meant for something. But he's matured now. This is 1997. He's a bit older. And he says in this song, well, the dream dried up a long time ago. I don't know where it is anymore. You have to remember where Dylan was at his career, before Time Out of Mind came out.
So you said that interview was in 1997?
No, that interview was later, but he's talking about this thing. I think it's him sort of coming to terms with, what he said to Ed Bradley. I can't write those songs anymore. I can do different things, but I can't write those songs. That muse has partly gone away. There's so much I could say about that, but talk to me what you think of that theory, because I didn't come to it immediately.
I think that's a really interesting. I'm on board with that, because the thing that you slightly left out about the Ed Bradley interview, which is, you can find it on YouTube, is that when he says, I used to do, what is the exact quote?
He goes, I used to do, he said, can you write those songs anymore? He's like, I used to. He's like, I used to. I can't anymore. I can do other things.
I think the thing that you can see in his eyes, because it's much slower than that, isn't it? In real time.
Yeah.
He's trying to find the words. It's a very open interview. Like, he ponders the question, and he almost, I wouldn't say he's almost weeps, but he looks so sad, and almost, you can sort of see almost devastation when he says, I used to. Yeah. I can't do that anymore. It's he speaks very quietly. We're being, we're doing our little podcast. We're being, flip and entertaining, but it really it hurts him, but he's gotten through it, and that's why I like your I like that.
Exactly what you talked about. I think I've got so many little lines I'm going to say during this, which we don't make a habit of, and I promise I won't, but with this song I probably will. Well, the sun went down a long time ago and doesn't seem to shine anymore. I wish I could have spent every hour of my life with the girl from the Red River Shore. It's almost like I wish I could have been in that state of creativity when he was writing It's All Right, Ma, and, Visions of Joanna. I think that's so sad. Well, the sun went down a long time ago, but it's his way of kind of coming to terms with it.
It's interesting that you chose those lines, because they're only, the sun went down on me a long time ago and doesn't seem to shine anymore. He never sings that on any of the 4 versions that have been released.
I noticed as I was reading it from the official Bob Dylan lyrics book, that, as he often does, he's
changed the fucking lyrics. The lyrics that he sings are, well, the sun went down on me a long time ago. I've had to pull back from the door. Another door reference.
A door, yeah.
And I actually think that's tons better, too. I've had to pull back from the door. Like, I couldn't go out there anymore. I couldn't go out the door anymore.
Yeah.
I had to pull back. I wish I could have spent every hour of my life with my creativity, but it was too fucking hard.
Yeah. But that's what fascinates me more than the performances, and why I listen a lot to the Neverending Tour. I'm like, what a weird way to live, and I do think it's him, sort of his purpose. He feels like he's following what he was meant to do here on this earth, and it's painful. It's not an easy way to live, and it's not a conventional way to live, but it's like, I feel sorry for how intrinsically his creative gift is to him in a way with this song, because it's like, it's painful and you've got to follow it, and you're not going to live a life like other people. There's just a few others, but
please, I'm
if you don't
this.
mind.
Yeah.
So, I sat by her side, and for a while I tried to make that girl my wife. Now, that seems like a normal, love song. But she gave me her best advice when she said, go home and lead a quiet life. Well, since 1966, he's led a pretty quiet life from major, exposure and fame. He's very much tried to pull back from that and maintain a sort of anonymity, because I think he probably pissed him off, obviously, but it doesn't help with the creativity, I don't think, the trappings of fame and all that. But, I knew when I first laid eyes on her, I could never be free. I could never. So once I found this artistic thing,
this muse,
this muse, that's me. There's no getting rid of it, whether you like it or not. One look at her, and I knew right away she would always be with me. There's so many.
Going on, the dream dried up a long time ago. Like the dream, that rich bed of creativity that, he, as he said in that interview, like, I can't do that anymore. I can do other things. Like write songs like this, which I mean, to me, like, I find that all that, I totally get it. One of the amazing things to me is that he does go into the past, and he kind of rips off the scab of this sadness, the sadness of not being that young genius guy who, like, the world in a way was at his command, but he does go back. He goes back, and this must be almost. It's a different sort of pain, but it's a really painful song.
Yeah, it's a truly painful song.
I think it's probably the reason that he didn't stick it on the album. They did it during the Time Out of Mind sessions, right? In 97. And people like Jim Keltner and Jim Dickinson were interviewed, and they both said that every musician thought this was the best song on the album.
Yeah.
They said it was the best thing we recorded, and they couldn't believe that it wasn't on the album.
Well, it's also he's never once played it live, which astounds me, considering the amount of shows he's done, thousands of shows. Never once has it been played live.
Does he take? Yeah, he does take stuff that was unreleased, stuff that was on the bootleg tapes.
Yeah, all the time.
Well, he'll play anything.
Yeah.
Can I give you a bit of my theory, which is not as good as your theory? I mean, it's just it's just
absolutely.
another theory. Well, first of all, I'm being very much more literal. So the Red River, what is the Red River? For now that you have been talking, I think this is just off the top of my head right now. The Red River is like blood. It's that deep. It's just blood. However, my notes here say, is it the Red River of the North, which flows through Minnesota and North Dakota, into Manitoba? In fact, it flows through Winnipeg, which is where I grew up. The Red River flowed through Winnipeg. But there's also the Red River of the South, which is the more famous Red River, which is forms the border between Texas and Oklahoma and flows into the Mississippi. So my theory of the week, which is bullshit, but I'm going to say it. It just occurred to me when I was doing the research for this, is the movie, the 1948 John Wayne movie, Red River, popped into my head. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie.
I haven't seen it, no.
I
know of it. But,
yeah, I saw it when I was a kid. Like I looked up a scene from it, for the purposes of the podcast. But I saw it years ago, and I remember it really hit me. It did hit me. Anyway, the language of Westerns is in Red River's Shore. And we know that Bob Dylan loves Westerns. But Pretty Maids Outside My Cabin Door. I mean, I see this very much as a Western. Like I see all this stuff. I ramble and I gamble for the one I love. Even the moonlight shooting by. Like, why is the moonlight shooting by? And maybe it's because it's fleeting. The moonlight is creativity. But maybe he just likes to use the word shooting.
Yeah.
Because it's like a cowboy film. It's like a cowboy movie. So this is my little take on it. There's a lot of male archetypes in this. And there's no reason it can't be both at the same time anyway. So there's drifters, in not in this one, but in cowboy movies, there's outlaws, there's preachers. The Man in the Long Black Coat, that's like a Western movie.
Yeah.
The narrator in ISIS is like a Western movie. John Wesley Harding is the Jack of Hearts. These are men's men anyway. These are guys like Gregory Peck and John Wayne. So in Red River, John Wayne is this like haunted macho guy. He's a cattle rancher, and he's got to drive his huge herd of cattle across the Red River. So the Red River Shore is actually in the movie. He drives the cattle across the Red River, across the shore. He's a big fan of crossing rivers as well, the Rubicon, to name one. So in this final sequence that I watched recently, John Wayne he's been betrayed by his foster son, played by Montgomery Clift, and he's so tough that I can't remember exactly what's going on, but I watched the final sequence of Red River. I just, watched it on YouTube. And there's this music, and he's stomping like John Wayne, and he's got kind of like gray in his hair. He's older than normal John Wayne we think of. I think they aged him up. And he's really good in it. This is a Howard Hawks film, and I remember at the end of it, Howard Hawks was interviewed, and he said, I had no idea he could act. He said, he was really good in this film. And he keeps marching along to some showdown with Montgomery Clift, and somewhere along the way, this guy says, "Hey!" and he pulls out his gun, and he's going to shoot John Wayne, but John Wayne shoots him. But he hits John Wayne, and John Wayne is like hit in the chest, and he keeps marching. And you think, holy shit, this guy's tough. And he comes across Montgomery Clift, and they have this knockdown, drag-out fight. They punching each other in the dirt. And the thing is that John Wayne has been trying to get Montgomery Clift, I can't remember why, to respond to him. But Montgomery Clift is kind of like, he won't fight, but he does end up fighting. Anyway, they're broken up by this girl, and this is my point. It's about the girl from Red River. And she yells at the two men, brings them to their senses, and says, you guys are both idiots. And she's the girl like Bob Dylan is very fond of having girls, women, being these saviors, as we've discussed in, I think, one of our bonus episodes, Dylan and Women. So, she takes his crown of thorns, she gives him shelter from the storm, she can understand his pain. In this case, the girl from Red River breaks them up, and it's the end of the movie. And they both see each other for the first time, and then the credits roll in. So it all hinges really on the girl from the Red River shore. And there is a line, I'm going back to, I totally agree with what you said, but I think there may be a bit of, certainly the Western movie, Nobody Ever Saw Me Here at All Except the Girl from the Red River Shore, I think is one of my favorite lines in the song. It's like only she, in the girl, he's got this thing about women and girls that he can, in a way, only kind of exist through their kindness. Although he wasn't often very kind back to women in his life. But again, if it's the muse, if what you're saying is true, then it's the muse that he's talking about. The girl from the Red River Shore is not the girl from Red River, and she's not. But I thought,
but it's the talk, isn't it? We've spoken so many times when it comes to Dylan and folk music in general. There's always a woman by the shore of a river, and a man is coming to be saved and falls in love, but it
like
can't,
in Belle Isle,
he does so many covers of "Girl on the Greenbrier Shore." He does "Lakes of Pontchartrain," which is the same. Now he calls himself a blues man, Dylan, and he is a blues man. But I would argue he's just as much a folk man in terms of these are folk heroes he talks about. He talks about these archetypes that are in folk songs. But to me, folk music blues music is a form of folk music. It's just a very specific form of folk music coming from a very particular kind of pain and brutality and dehumanization. That's what makes it so unique. But it's folk music in a way. But
he's also a country and western guy. He's a western guy as well. And there's two versions on Telltale Signs of this song. The first one is listed as take one and sounds like take one. Like you can hear it's not the first time you'll hear people going, oh, so that's what's happening. So, okay.
Trying to keep up with what the fuck Bob wants must be a nightmare for musicians.
I think it's a really great, I think it's superior to the second version, which is clearly like they've got it. These are really good musicians, and it's very. Somebody might have said to him, "Bob, can we go with a sort of Tex-Mex feel?" That's what it was sort of like feeling like towards the end. And they come right in and they do a really good Tex-Mex version of it, a Western version, if you will. But it's not as good as the first version because, in a way, sometimes, like we've talked about before on the podcast, I feel that a better arrangement, the better the arrangement, the more distance you have from what the song's really about.
The tidier the arrangement.
Yeah.
Mississippi's a perfect.
Mississippi,
perfect. And there's so many on the Telltale Signs album, and Fragments has now come out as well. Around this Time Out of Mind period, that I totally agree. It's like. The version that was released on Love and Theft of Mississippi is great. But it's polished, and there's something far more raw and gets you to the emotion of the song when it's stripped back.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing about, I know you're a connoisseur of the various live versions, and which I'm not to that extent, but I heard a thing this morning. I don't know if you saw it. I've gone on Instagram recently since we started doing the podcast, because I know we've got our Instagram feed, and I want to see what's out there. And so it was this morning when I pulled up Instagram, I saw this thing, which I don't know if you saw, which went out on his birthday, which was his 84th birthday, which was a couple of days ago, and he was talking about. I've mentioned that have I mentioned this, the Elliot Mintz thing? Have I mentioned that?
Yeah.
So the other thing that he said was basically, it's only the live stuff that is art. Like if anything is going to be the art, it's only the live stuff. That's all I really care about.
Yeah. So this was a recent interview with him, wasn't it?
No. I think I read about this interview, but I'd never heard it before, and there was only a snippet. Like they just had a picture of a reel-to-reel recording device, and that's all. And just you can hear that it's Bob, and you can hear that it's unedited, and it's. But again, he was just talking about, you know, if anything I do is art, it's my live performances.
Yeah.
And indeed, you know, the first version of this song it's like it's cut live, and that's why it's superior.
Yeah, it's just wanted to mention it's in 6/4 time, which is an incredibly odd time signature.
It sounds weird. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
it sounds so weird.
It's a weird, and I don't know how he does this, because if you just look at the way it's laid out on the page, it makes sense that it's in a weird time signature, because some of us scare ourselves to death in the dark. Normally that wouldn't work, but he manages to make it work. Death in the dark, and then he slows down to Be Where the Angels Fly. That's the final 2 of the 6.
Right.
It's if you read this and you thought, God, that's what, how you heard
how
it was
would
a
you
song.
sing
How
that?
would you sing that? But he's a genius. But I also just wanted to say, there's a couple of things I want to say. Trapped in the Fires of Time is stolen from a beautiful poem by Delmore Schwartz called Calmly We Walk Through This April's Day. And this, I'll read the final stanza if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Final stanza. Each minute bursts in the burning room. The great globe reels in the solar fire, spinning the trivial and unique away. How all things flash, how all things flare. What am I now that I was then? May memory restore again and again the smallest colour of the smallest day. Time is the school in which we learn. Time is the fire in which we burn. So it's about time, and I think a lot of this is him reflecting on.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I heard of a guy who lived a long time ago. Go on with what you were going to say, but I want to talk about the final verse.
Yeah,
as well,
let's do it. That's kind of all I'd say. I just thought it was worth.
No, that's fabulous.
Because he rips off, but you know, he points to so many things, and I think it's good to sometimes credit the source material. Yeah, because I think it gives an insight into what he digs, man, but also what's inspired him.
Yeah. So what do we make of this last verse? Now, I heard of a guy who lived a long time ago, a man full of sorrow and strife. I'm going to just read this. That if someone around him died and was dead, he knew how to bring him on back to life. Well, I don't know what kind of language he used, or if they do that kind of thing anymore. Sometimes I think nobody ever saw me here at all except the girl from the Red River Shore. Now, the thing that blows my mind about this particular, everything does, but it seems like the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines have absolutely nothing to do with the last 2 lines.
Yeah.
I think they're all brilliant, but I just feel like the last 2 lines they seem like they're kind of tacked on. But I love the story of, story of Jesus, basically.
Yeah, it sounds like Jesus bringing Lazarus back to life, doesn't it? But then those final 4 lines, it's almost like him. It's like, well, I don't know what kind of language he used. It's the kind of stuff I used to write back then. I can't do that anymore. I can do other things.
Yeah.
Or if they do that kind of thing anymore, would anyone dig it now? Even if I could do it? Sometimes I think nobody ever even saw me here at all, except the girl from the Red, except my artistic, inspiration. I think it's beautiful, and I've been trying to explain this to a really close friend of mine recently, and it's hard to describe, and it feels stupid and almost it feels arrogant. What I'm going to say now, and I don't mean it to be, because it's not. I think it's one of the reasons I can very easily slip into melancholy in my life. But there's a few things, like the thing that Bob said during that interview with Ed Bradley. Destiny is a feeling you have that you know something about yourself nobody else does. And I've always felt like I should be, like I'm wasting potential, or that there's something. There's a creative gift I have that I'm not using, or that has not been seen, and that saddens me. It's why not just Bob's music, but Bob as a person really stands out to me. And those first lines, I said this to my friend because he knows, my struggles with depression and stuff throughout my life. They're very episodic, but they're massive when they happen. So some of us turn off the lights and we lay up in the moonlight shooting by. That to me is some of us, we feel joy and we live a normal life. Some of us scare ourselves to death in the dark to be where the angels fly. It's like I feel like I should be, with the pain I've gone through, getting to where the angels fly, and I can't quite get there. And I don't mean that to sound like I'm special. I don't mean it that way. It's a feeling of sadness in a way. It's a feeling of like there's got to be a lesson or an end product from the pain and the difficulty with existence that I sometimes find that I haven't found yet. And that's what I love about this song. That's why it speaks to me, I think.
Whoa. Yeah. I can't say it speaks to me in the same way, and I'm not really eager for it to speak to me in the same way. But I do feel that in a way that we're all living in the shadows of a fading past. I mean, there's many things that we're all trapped in the fires of time.
Yeah.
And going on to that verse, I tried not to ever hurt anybody and stay out of a life of crime. I also can relate to, because I was going to say I don't know about you, but I've been like around on the planet for longer than you. And to me, I can really relate to that, because I think, I kind of grew up, I was a really snotty kid. Like I can relate to Dylan in his snotty times. But I think I hurt a lot of people with my tongue. And I can also relate to this. Like I really try not to ever hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing my best, Yeah. And I think this is older Bob, wiser Bob, kinder Bob. He doesn't, I think now he does. He there's kindness there. Yeah,
you said something to me. I don't think it was on mic, was it? But you said something about was it your grandfather, as he got older, he would cry more? And it's something about, I think that's one of the things I loved about Rough and Rowdy Ways, was Bob looking back at his own legacy and mortality. And there does seem to be a more playful energy to Bob live, especially. Like I saw him at the Albert Hall and he was like making hand gestures, like funny faces to us at the back and stuff. And it's nice to see that. It's nice to see that he's softened a little bit. But that life of crime thing as well, sort of also maybe with my theory points to, he sort of shunned fame eventually. There's no getting away from it, but he's done everything he can to sort of retreat from that. And, tried not to hurt anybody. Life of crime, success and excess can cause an awful lot of pain.
Also, I'm also going back to what you were saying about your theory about the muse and music. I think he's also trying to stay out of... He's trying not to commit crimes against music, and that he's trying to be honest and not just clever.
Yeah.
Like there was times in his, when he was at his height and clearly was very clever, but I would sometimes think, well, where's the humanity? And I think he's now very human.
Yeah. It's sort of the opposite to me of, I think it's an incredible song lyrically, but It's All Right, Ma is clever and a brilliant critique of politics and social life in America at that time. But I don't feel anything from it. I don't feel a sense of vulnerability or it doesn't. He's not drawing you into him. He's firing shots.
That was Bob Dylan Approximately with Kerry Shale
and Daniel Crespin. Produced by Robin Guise.
And recorded at Lipsync Post, Soho, London.
For longer bonus episodes, join our Patreon feed.
And if you have a Bobsessive friend, please spread the word.
It ain't quite the end.
We'll just bid farewell till we meet again.